Hello everyone. So in this video, I want to talk about the apps on the marketplace, and this is just based on my experience. This is based on what I have been doing with my customers. Now I think it is good that we have plenty of apps on the marketplace. In fact, there are too many apps, more than we ever need. But being a consultant who has been not just using Jira but also helping others get the most out of Atlassian tools, especially Jira, I know from my experience that in majority of cases, like I'm talking about both Jira Cloud and Jira Data Center, in majority of cases, you're fine with just few apps. You don't really need to install too many apps. And I understand when it comes to Atlassian Marketplace, there are thousands of apps, literally thousands of apps that can do a lot of wonderful things. And this is also, I believe, in a way, a challenge for new app developers or someone who is trying to get into developing apps and selling it online. Because I would also like to sell apps on the marketplace. In fact, I have few apps that I started building. They are published on the marketplace, but I want to, of course, improve them. But when it comes to solving problems, when it comes to using a tool like Jira to deliver, I think that is the whole idea. You have to, when you want to use a tool, you're looking for the benefits. You are looking for ways to improve your efficiency, and the idea is that you deliver. That is the main thing. I think that should be always on top of your list. Like if you're not really delivering, then using a tool or not using a tool or using different apps won't really help. So I want to share, of course, maybe the top 3, top 5 apps that I have been using. And to be honest, if given a choice, I will never really go beyond those 5 apps. I mean, I'm not really saying I will never really go beyond those apps in all the cases, but in majority of the cases, I think it's always about 80-20%. I think if you can do 80% of the things with just few apps along with native Jira capabilities, then I think you're fine. And when it comes to, I'll talk about type of apps that you need to consider. And there are cases where you are fine without using an app. I mean, just do it yourself. So talking about the apps, of course, I'm sure you know about it. And by the way, I've made similar videos in the past where I, like every year, like end of the year, I talk about my favorite apps in that particular year. So this year, the list is, to be honest, not really different, but I'll just, share it based on what I have in my mind. So number 1 app is still a script now for Jira on both server or data center and cloud. Of course, if you have script enough for Jira, you can actually do almost anything that you want to do with Jira, at least on Jira Data Center. But even on cloud, although you have automation rules, but the ability to write code is amazing because you can achieve a lot of things. Although on Jira Cloud, you are limited by REST API. But of course, when you write code, you can do things, wonderful things, like achieve a bit more complex business case. You can solve problems the way you want. But on cloud, you also have automation rules, and that is definitely, I think that has definitely taken some space when it comes to doing these automations. But still, script now for Jira is still, it can do a lot of wonderful things. The second app is EasyBI, both on server, data center, and of course on cloud. Because when it comes to using a tool like Jira, you can do a lot of things in the tool. You can basically enforce your policy, but in majority of cases, you don't really need to drive the process using a tool. Of course, you expect people to follow certain things, and of course, you can create a workflow. You can configure different schemes. But if people are not really doing things as they should be, if they are not really updating the issues on time, if they are not really able to manage the sprints properly, if you have cases where people are not really updating certain fields, you can always report on it. So not only you can track the progress, not only you can identify gap reports, but you can actually build any kind of report that you want using EasyBI. So that is number 2. Number 3 is, and and this is something that hasn't really changed, to be honest. But number three is definitely Tempo Planner uh, and Tempo. I mean, Tempo suite of apps, especially Tempo Timesheets and Tempo Planner, because when it comes to capacity management, I can't really think of any better way of doing it using a tool within Jira. And Tempo Planner is definitely a very simple yet mature product, along with, of course, timesheets. Although timesheets is something that uh, even if you don't use timesheets, you can still do time tracking in Jira anyways. But when you're using timesheets, you can actually do a lot of smart things with it. And so I'm not really saying that Tempo Planner and Tempo Timesheets as two different apps. They are two different apps, but they are like they work really nicely together. If you want to install either Tempo Planner or Tempo Timesheets or both, you can. If you need these capabilities. The fourth app that I want to talk about is Structure, and this has been Structure has been my popular app. I mean, my favorite and yet very popular app because people actually do a lot of wonderful. It can be a really nice app to visualize things, and if you have a structure in your Jira, you can actually use. If you have like some kind of structure in Jira, you can actually visualize it using Structure, and you can also manipulate things on Structure. Now, when it comes to, let us say, displaying something, you can of course use Structure, but EasyBay can also do it. The problem with EasyBay is that EasyBay is just it is just an app to show you reports. You won't be able to write back to Jira. And there are some other apps that if needed, I definitely recommend. There are apps like EasyBI, Story Maps, and there are apps from Midori, Better Excel, which I think is quite good when it comes to exporting your Jira data in an Excel format. And I'm not really saying that these are the top 3 or top 4 or top 5 apps that I always use or I want to use. But if I have to pick just one, of course, there is no doubt Scriptner is one app, and maybe second app is EasyBay. I mean, if you give me these two apps, I'm happy. But in this video, I don't really want to talk about only these apps. I'm just talking about and trying to give you an idea about when it comes to using Jira. Don't really think that Jira is limited. Jira has a lot of features. Jira can do a lot of wonderful things, but when people start using Jira, they are usually coming from another tool, and they expect things that they were able to do in those other tools. And yes, you can install apps to add more functionalities. You can install apps to bring a lot of features, but I think you should spend time and maybe consult with someone, maybe ask on the community what is their experience. If you are, let us say, trying to do something in Jira and you're not able to do it, then yes, you can always install an app. But when it comes to apps, there are different types of apps. There are apps like Scriptner that are Scriptner or EasyBI that are basically able to do a lot of wonderful things. You can do not just one, but many things using these apps. But there are some apps that will do just one thing. That is it. For example, if you want to integrate Jira with another tool, or if you want to maybe do a specific thing that you're not really able to do natively in Jira, you can install the app and do it. But also think about how many times and how much that app or that functionality is being used. For example, when it comes to integration, you can always use REST API. You can always use the webhooks in Jira to talk to Jira, to get notified. And you can also write, using REST API, you can actually not only pull things, you can also push things to Jira. So what I wanted to say is that although you have a lot of apps, and I think in a way there is like a saturation, but people are always coming up with ideas to do a lot of wonderful things. But if I talk about, in this video, I'm just talking about majority, like 80% of Jira instances or 80% of organizations, they are usually fine with just few apps, couple of apps, that is it. In fact, if you can do things without an app, that is the best thing that you can probably do. So in the beginning, if you're new to Jira, don't really try to install like 10 apps and then start using the tool. Just start using the tool. Especially Jira Cloud is very easy. The onboarding process or the way you set up things, it is very simple. You just need to start using it, and you have different templates. You have different type of I mean, you have, of course, depending upon the needs, if you want to use Jira for, let us say, service desk or normal task management, you can use Jira work management or Jira service management, but uh, just start using it. Don't really try to rush. Gradually over the period of time, evaluate your usage of the tool and then, roll it out to bigger audience. Usually, when it comes to setting up Jira, sometimes people try to do it for the whole organization in just one go, which is not going to work nicely. Start with a small team. I mean, I think most people do it. Most organizations are aware of this fact that you can't really do a big bang rollout. You have to start gradually, and in that process, you will of course learn a lot about your needs when it comes to customizations and when it comes to what apps you need to install in future. So yeah, that is all. That is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I just wanted to talk about plethora of apps that we have on the marketplace, and in most cases, to be honest, you don't really need like 20 apps that you think you need. You're probably just fine with 2 or 3 apps. You just need to figure out what you want to do with the tool. So that is it. That is it for today. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new. By the way, as I mentioned in one of my previous video, I will be starting. I'm going to start like not weekly but monthly webinars. So I'll basically try to do like a live session with people, and it would be mostly in a webinar format. But I'm still trying to think about the topics. So most likely for January, I will be talking about ITSM because that is a theme I believe these days. There was an event from Atlassian in London where I went. I'm sure you watched the video. So ITSM is definitely the topic that people are talking about these days. But every month I'll pick one topic, and my plan is to do at least one webinar. But I might do 2. I might do 2 or 3. Let us see how it goes. All right, that is it. That is it for today. Bye bye.